In January 2019, the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences published a very serious research report. It included what was summarized that the population of China will reach its peak in 2029 to reach 1,440,000,000 people. After that, a period of unstoppable population decline will begin. This report shows that the Chinese government must deal with two phenomena. The first is the shrinking of the workforce, and the second is a constrictive population pyramid. And if these two phenomena combine, they will cause dire social and economic consequences. The study also denounced that if the fertility rates remain unchanged, the population of China will drop to 1,360,000,000 people in 2050, and as a result for that, the labor force will decrease by about 200 million people, and by 2065, the population will drop to 1,170,000,000 people. What is happening in China? And why this huge decrease in population? And why all the huge rates of aging? And what is the impact of all these factors on the second largest economy in the world? And how will the Chinese government face these problems? I'm Chakid Chavan. Welcome to a new episode of Money Talks. The roots of the Chinese demographic disaster go back to the 70s when the population approached 1 billion. The Chinese government began implementing family planning campaigns, but they did not pay off. That is why the one-child policy was adopted in 1979. This law is considered the largest change in social engineering in history. Its result was a decrease in the fertility rate of women. In 1970, the fertility rate was estimated at 5.8 children per woman in 1979. This number decreased to 2.8, reaching 1.7 in 2014, and if China wants to maintain its current population, this number should be 2.1. The Chinese government became aware of this dilemma and abolished the one-child policy in 2015. So, is the situation back to the way it was? No. In 2016, the birth rate increased by 8%. In the following year, that growth percentage dropped to 3.5%. The problem is that China has entered what is called the middle income trap, which is the middle class wanting to have fewer children. The decline in the birth rate was accompanied by an increase in the level of healthcare and progress in many health indicators, which led to an increase in the average life expectancy in China from 43 years in 1960 to 75 years in 2013. The result of this is that China is becoming the most aging country in the world. The United Nations expects that there will be over 400 million people over the age of 65 in China by 2050. Somebody would say, so what is the problem with this? Everyone gets older. The truth is that this is not a problem, but rather a disaster in every sense of the word. China relies on its young workforce, which forms the backbone of its economy. It is the factor that moved it from a poor country to the second largest economy in the world. But now this workforce is aging and became a burden on the economy. And when this workforce shrinks, wages will increase, and consequently, the profits of companies will decrease. Economists call this phenomenon the Lewis turning point. It is a term that describes the phenomenon of labor shortages accompanied by a rise in wages. The International Monetary Fund predicts that China will reach the Lewis turning point between 2020 and 2025, and one commercial recruitment company predicted that by 2030, China will hire workers from abroad. There is another problem that threatens the social fabric in China and can cause a confrontation between generations. There are productive young people and old people who benefit from Social Security, and workers pay pension contributions, which the government is supposed to spend on retirees. But there is a deficit between the contributions and the pensioners' demands, and the government has been financing this deficit since 2014, and this funding comes from taxes. The problem here is that a higher level of aging means a decrease in the number of taxpayers. In the end, do you think that China will be able to deal with this disaster? Answer us in the comments. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next episode.